Peace and blessing, love and light to you all. Thank you to this church, to Pastor Rose, to Eric Adams, our mayor, to everyone who's here today. My wife asked me a little bit ago today, my energy was off and I couldn't really explain why, and I realized it was trauma. I have a black family, I come from a black family, and all those people did in Buffalo was shop and be black. Celeste Chansey, Robert Drury, Andre McNeil, Catherine Massey, Marvis Morrison, Hayward Patterson, Aaron Salter Jr., Geraldine Talley, Ruth Whitfield, and Pearl Young. Those are the victims that we're here for today. I want to lift up all of the others in this country, the LGBTQ community, the Muslim community, the Jewish community, Sikh community, Asian community, all those that are furthest away from rich white male or considered others are endangered in this country. But for a brief moment, if I can, I want to lift up black trauma. I want to talk specifically about black trauma. Black trauma in this country. The black community has been beset and besieged upon with violence from when the first enslaved African came in August of 1619 to May 16th of 2022. They have been beset upon with violence consistently and unceasingly from every direction. And while they were fighting with that violence, physically, they dealt with the violence of redlining, of being pushed into the ghetto, of last hide and first fire, of all the things that were wrong with humanity pushed in our direction. And those two things combined have caused the black community to internalize false consciousness and beset violence amongst themselves. And the reason I want to mention those two things is because if you don't understand that the mass shooting that occurred and the violence that occurs in our communities every single day are both connected to the system of white supremacy that has started from the beginning of this country, you will not solve the problem. This is not about an excuse for accountability of your consequences, because there has to be consequences and accountability. But if we don't understand the root, then we won't solve the problem. And I'm thankful that there are people talking about the food desert, the lack of public transportation in the east side of Buffalo now, but it has been there for decades. So the question is, what did we do before this tragedy and what we're going to do before the next one? We asked for money to be put into a budget for hate crimes prevention, for gun violence, and victim services. Because they push our victims in the media and use black trauma to cause bad policy. But when we speak to the victims, whether it's Cade Lewin's parents, 12-year-old shot and killed in Brooklyn, an 11-year-old fighting for their life right now in the Bronx, or 10 people shot and killed in Brooklyn, we know they need victim services. But that money asked was not enough to stop a budget to make sure that it was in. I hope the city can pick up some of that slack. Compounded with this is a country's demonic obsession with guns. Demonic access to all manner of war machine. People who believe access to guns, the Second Amendment, is more important than the right to vote, particularly if you were black and voting at the same time. We have a system that allowed a white supremacist that had every flag that everyone should have seen to purchase a weapon, write nigger on it, and mow down black people who were shopping and working in a supermarket. That's the system that we have. Elsie Stefanik, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, the New York Post, Donald Trump, everybody who's been pushing this, you are at fault. You are the ones who were more concerned about critical race theory, and all we wanted to do was tell America the part that race plays in our country. You know, when we say that an 18-year-old Michael Brown, who was unarmed, is a man, but a person who shot and killed 10 people is just a teenager. All we wanted to do was let you know the part that race plays in our country. But you were more concerned about that than white replacement theory. And you push that. And you push that. And you now have to decide how you want history to remember you. Because you are now in the annals of the history of Nazi Germany, of right before the Civil War and the Confederates, and segregationists, even Rwanda before the slaughter. That's where history will remember you if you don't make a decision right now. And Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter to put Donald Trump back on Twitter. These social medias won't let me play a song, but they can let this man run his manifesto all over the place. There are people who wanted this to happen. People who pretended they didn't want it. But for many, this wasn't an unintended consequences, it's a strategy. And the people who are happy to look the other way in order to get their votes and their viewership allow it. We have to be honest about what's happening and why it's happening so that we can stop it. Sadly, people say this is not who we are, but it is part of America. From the Bronx to Brooklyn to Harlem to Buffalo. We need leaders to stand up and stop the violence that has been beset upon the black community from inception. And if you cannot do that, step out of the way so people who can move in. The last thing I want to say, because as much as that is a part of America, I'm proud to be here with you because you are a part of America. And we are the part of America that has always pushed back. So what I want to say to Elsie Stefanik and Tucker Carlson and Fox News and Trump is you will not win. You won't win. I'm tired, and I think black people have a right to say I'm tired. I'm not okay today. We have a right to not be okay today. The Most High said, joy cometh in the morning, but sometimes it's a long night. But you still won't win. Because my ancestors fought worse for me to be here. Because people fought dogs for us to be here. People fought all manner of hell for us to be here. You will not win. Because when I rest up, I'm going to fight so my baby daughter can be here and pick up the fight when I'm done. Peace and blessings, love and light to you all.